Welcome back. Welcome in. It's Country Roads Confidential at earsports.com. It's a Paramount podcast. I am Mike Casaza here on a Monday morning, joined by Chris Anderson. Time for the Q&A mailbag. Time for deja vu. And time to get to it, Chris. Short week, short intro. Want to be prompt. Don't have as much time as always. So what do you say we dip right in and answer the questions that we know are coming?
Yeah, let's get right to it. You guys asked the questions. We cut it a little earlier than normal because we're recording on Sunday night instead of Monday. These are the questions most upvoted by you guys. So that is why they are being read and answered first. Some others will be kept for 3-minute videos, and others I will answer in written form. But let's get started. The most upvoted question of the week, Crowtown Ear to the top of the list. We've now seen all 5 quarterbacks. Is it time for the coaching staff to settle on one guy and let the chips fall where they may? At what point is it counterproductive to keep rotating guys in practice and in the game?
All right, so we're going to say we saw Max Brown.
Are we? I mean, we saw him.
Yeah, like that's about it, right? I
Yeah.
hope he's not injured. Like, I didn't see what happened. Like, I was actually on my way down to the press box, and I was like, "Oh, Max Brown's in." I have no idea what happened. I heard that like he tried to jump over somebody, got hurt. I hope he's not hurt, but he had to come out after 3 snaps. Um, I don't think so. To be honest with you, I think they're going to try to win games. I don't think he's watering seeds for the future. I think he wants to get the most juice he can out of the squeeze with his team, win as many games as he can, position it in a good spot for the future, sure. And that might be with, a guy who's got more than this year to his name, which would be Fox, Wilkins, and Jalen Henderson. Jalen Henderson, remember, has another year, allegedly. So who knows anymore? I don't think you just put all your eggs in one basket because Jalen Henderson has a year or because Wilkins looked good against, look good was 3 for 6. I don't think you do that. I don't think you do it just because. I get the point of the question. I don't think they're there though.
No, I don't think they have an answer as to who the one is. I do think going back to my comments last week in one of the, I think it was a 3-minute video we did, not the podcast, but where I was like, give Jalen Henderson a half, give him 3 quarters, give it like, so I think when you do give these guys the time, give them the time to actually put together a game, half a game, 3 quarters of a game or something. I don't like the idea of here's a drive or two, switch. Here's a drive or two, switch. I hate that. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. So do they have the answer as to this is the quarterback and that's the answer for the rest of the year? I don't think they do. I don't. I'm with you. I'm not sure. I mean, Wilkins was fine. Like he made a couple nice plays. He made a couple nice runs, which fit into this Rich Rodriguez offense, but he still had several bad plays, several bad throws, things he's got to work on. Again, he's a redshirt freshman, so he's going to make those mistakes. But I'd like to see them give these guys, a couple of these guys, extended time. Like, I mean, if they want to let Wilkins go for 3 quarters or a half against BYU, sure, I'm down. That sounds all right. If they want to go Max Brown, if he's healthy for a half, 3 quarters, since he only had 3 plays, sure. That makes sense to me. But give these guys several drives in a row to try to find an answer.
Hmm.
You seem hesitant.
No, I'm with you. I think you're right. I don't think they have the guy right now. I just
No.
don't. So I think they're going to continue to search. The best thing that can happen, again, regardless of the outcome, the best thing that happens is they win. But for them, the best thing that happens, regardless of a win, is that they get on the plane going home and they know they have a really good idea who their quarterback is. Because that way they can really hone in on that during the open week and then get down to UCF with some momentum with their quarterback. Is it feels different when you got a quarterback that you know can change things. And Wilkins was promising, but just rewind. Everybody thought it was Henderson just 7 days ago. So these things happen quickly, and I don't think that you can continue to think that you're landing on the right side of the coin when you keep flipping the coin.
All right, next question. Similar question, I guess. BNWVU 72. Will we ever figure out what happened to Dior Hubbard to start the year? I don't know.
I mean, maybe he just didn't practice well. Maybe Clay Ash was better. Do not know. Don't know. I mean, I was a week ago saying maybe we got this wrong because we didn't see a whole lot. 8 minutes in the spring and then just drills in the summer. But I mean, even when they broke training camp, someone told me that he was their number two running back. Now, was or should be, maybe I didn't get the interpretation right there. I never knew that he was hurt in camp because if you remember, it was him and White were the only two who were practicing for a while. So I didn't think he was hurt because he was there. We never heard about that. So that was news to me when Rodriguez said that he'd been banged up a little bit at the start of camp. So maybe he was behind and he's just getting back up. But probably what's happened now is that one, he's healthy, but two, he's produced like in absence of production from other players.
Next question, JBWV Sports 17. There's a significant amount of talk about having to rely heavy on the portal again next year. While I agree there will be portal additions, should we not expect some of the younger guys to develop and contribute? For instance, the DL has multiple seniors graduating, and we should expect someone like Taylor Brown or Brandon Caesar to contribute. And would it not make sense for a program like W to focus funds on developing and retaining talent?
Yeah, I mean it's a developmental program for sure. Recruit, retain, develop is the key. So the recruit is on campus. The retain is you're gonna have to pay probably, and develop is up to the coaches. I think that you have to be on the field though to feel better about that. I also think it's probably difficult to ask true sophomores, redshirt freshmen to really year two matter on the defensive line. There's exceptions for sure. It's happened here before, but those are like special players, and like they typically play when they're freshmen too. So they would probably have to get in the field sooner than later. I do think that you could feel better about the offensive line because you can develop to the side on the offensive line. Like you can be a redshirt freshman or a redshirt sophomore who's not a lot of games the year before and become a good player because they have a specific thing settled for or established for their offensive line to develop. All programs have that. Like they don't travel. They do workouts. They have their Monday night footballs, whatever day of the week they're doing developmental practices, but that's geared for offensive line. My question to that question would be like, who are these people though? Like we're just not seeing a lot of young players right now, and they don't have a ton of young players. Recruiting class was smallish. They lost transfers from the freshman class, and you're not seeing. And maybe it's because there are so many older players in the team, but you're not seeing a lot of like young contributors in offense and defense.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I was going to bring up was yeah, they brought in a bunch of guys for the spring, and a bunch of those guys are gone.
Hmm.
Like that didn't last very long. And the other part of this is a two-way street. Like West Virginia can want to keep and retain and build these players up and develop them, but they also have to want to stick around and go through the development process, which we've seen time and again. There aren't a lot of players that are very interested in sitting on the scout team for a couple of years, getting ready for big time college football, getting to the point where you actually want them to be as coaches. So, yeah, I think West Virginia would love to. I just don't know how many options there are going to be, especially again with this class, as you noted, like a handful of them left before the season even started. Like
Hmm.
before they even technically started their freshman year, fall freshman year, they were already gone. They'd already transferred out. So not expecting a bunch of that this year.
Trying to think who guys would be like Taylor Brown. He mentioned um, Caesar. He mentioned. Trying to think of guys who are big players. Weaver's played a little bit. Horton's hurt. Scotty Fox,
I'm
um,
counting. I'm counting 21 players, by the way, that are true freshmen.
Christian
And
Lepo.
out of those 21, maybe half of these, or at least a handful, are I don't know what we're calling them now, but the guys that were the 86ers. Is that not what some people were calling them? The guys that were, you know, not in the top 85 full scholarship players, but found the financial backing to be put in school for free. So again, I'm not saying those guys aren't part of the team. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, but those are not guys that you are expecting to contribute extremely early in their collegiate career. Those are the guys you're really developing 3, 4 years down the road.
Yeah.
And yeah, out of these 21, eh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those 21 are some of those guys. So you're talking about 13 freshmen that West Virginia brought in as full scholarship players back when there was separation with that. So again, not a lot of people that are really in consideration for this.
Have you seen how small the sophomore class is?
Mm-hmm.
It's like 9 or 10 people, maybe more than that now. I'm trying to think, but it's not big. And those are the players you figure, all right, they make it through a coaching change, they play a little bit with the new staff, they got a chance. Hard to do. The question is perfectly valid. That's what you want to have happen. You don't want to have to rely on the portal, and Rodriguez has said this a bunch. Like once they recruit like they're supposed to and develop like they're supposed to, they'll have a pretty good team in a couple years. They'll have a good blend of transfers that supplement or star, but not like completely dominate the roster, and they'll have organic developed players. And you can be high school recruits or a guy who like a Nick Taylor is a sophomore who could be a really good player. He's a transfer. But if you get a guy like that in his junior senior season, that still counts. You're retaining and developing him. The question is fine. It's just it's hard to get there for sure.
Yeah. Um, El Schaefer, why did the defense look so confused and slow to align for the first half? Didn't have that on the bingo card, especially considering what they practice against daily.
All right, so that wasn't just me, right?
No, you and I agreed on this, and I
Yeah.
think I'll tell the story where I was like, "Hey, this." I think I mentioned to you as it was happening, like they looked so confused. You said the same thing, and then I was like, "Look," and Taylor's out there. Nick Taylor, you were just talking about, and I said, and then I think at the same time that we were discussing that, I was asking if Nick Taylor was replacing Coates. So I was like, "Did Coates get hurt?" You were like, "No, Taylor replaced Tarnu,"
Hmm.
and
He
so then all
replaced
of us,
Boyce, who replaced Tarnu.
yeah. So then it's a cornerback that's playing out of position. I'm assuming because he is listed as a corner, he's not listed as like a free safety or this, the spot that Tarnu and Boyce have been playing. So was he playing out of position? Was there anybody else playing out of position? I don't know. That's what got me thinking about that. Where maybe a couple guys were out of position and a couple guys that were not typically part of the lineup were in there.
I don't know what Utah did that was so strange. Like
Mm-mm.
I mean, I'll say like, okay, they played some defensive players on offense, and that might make you stop and go, oh, something's up here. But they knew that coming in. So like their safety's a receiver, one of their corners is a receiver, their linebacker plays fullback or tight end every so often. They brought in the one extra defensive lineman, but they knew that coming in. Even if the defensive lineman was new, they knew there were going to be things like that. That shouldn't have unplugged them. It just seemed like they weren't set a bunch, and communication definitely has been better. I think it's a good observation. It's probably a question for Zach Alley on Tuesday because that you're right. It's not been like that, and when it was like that, they certainly suffered and struggled for it. I would guess that Chase Wilson said that they were in the right play a bunch and just got it wrong, and that's like 2 weeks in a row that's happened. But if I wonder if they were just thinking through stuff too much, especially as the game got away from like, all right, play call what we have lines up exactly what we're expecting on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Let's get it. And you're thinking about how you have to, and just instead of playing, and it might have just gotten to be paralysis by analysis, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Possibility, but it's a good question. It's an observation that you really can't ignore the way they played.
Well, and I guess let's tie this into another question that came a little bit later from Quirky Quokka. Is the defense as bad as it looks Saturday? Just a bad day, bad matchup, or just not as good as we'd hoped after seeing some decent play for the first few weeks?
I think the book gets out of them a little bit, just natural. You figure out who the players are. You figure out what to go away from. People aren't throwing up at Coates, so I think you can. I mean, I think teams are finding Kikora Tarnu in coverage sometimes, up the slot, up the seam. You can do stuff like that. You might run into certain You might line up certain ways. I think there's some of that. It doesn't explain back-to-back 40 plus point games, except they've had some bad moments there. But give the other teams some credit too. Kansas good offense, Utah good offense, just better than the offenses they've seen. Um, Probably somewhere in the middle, but I mean, is everybody rushing the Zach Alley contract extension to Stewart Hall right now? Because they were 2 weeks ago, right? That's not being like sly, but
No,
just that.
that was a podcast question, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
Can we get Zach Alley extended? Was a question, I
Or
believe, like
how
after week 1 or 2.
on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried about are you about him leaving?
Yeah.
Slow down a little bit, but it because he's going through all the same stuff everybody else is too. It's hard. And again, just you get into a certain part of the season, teams figure out a little bit. So, and then now you self scout and you figure out, okay, what are teams doing to us? Third downs, especially, they just haven't been their best the past couple of games. Sometimes there's tells and tendencies there too. So, I would say they're bad. I'd say that they had a couple guys who were playing good in key spots before, and it's probably leveled off or even fallen below like that standard they want to have.
Next question, CD Loy. This is a lengthy one here. I know WV football's NIL situation ranks in the bottom third, but how much of the player quality issue is due to limited funds versus Rich Rodriguez's late start, hired in December, assembling staff, etc.? His rush transition left little room to build a cohesive roster. Do you expect this upcoming portal cycle to bring in higher quality players, given Rodriguez now has a full year to work his system and target scheme specific transfers? Or is money still the biggest concern?
I mean, they they had a resolution from the BOG. That's how concerning the money is. Like they wanna have more to throw at things. So that's a big deal. Quantity quality is a hard balance to strike. When you they needed I mean they have what 81 new players of the number, but they needed like 45, 55 new players needed. You only have so many funds and you got to make sure that you have to be able to afford everybody. And you don't want to bring in like two good guys and then 43 to 53 just the guys. So you got to be careful with how you split things up. It's hard. It's probably going to be in a similar capacity next season, though smaller, you would hope, with more money, but you're still going to have again that quantity quality problem. Evals are tough. Who are these coaches? What are their connections? So, like some of the better players they got came with their cornerbacks coach that he knew or he coached. They got connections with some players from Jacksonville State, which helps. Just some of the stuff worked, but you really do need your coaches to do this. And as they were pulling a staff together, it's not just Rodriguez who got a late start. You hire assistant coaches because they can get you players. And he was pulling them in not at once. He's pulling them in over time, so that hurts a little bit. That slows things down a little bit. So not necessarily Rodriguez, but if his staff can hit the ground running, you're putting like an army of guys out there to hit the portal and use their contacts. So I think you'll have a better feel for what everybody can do. Obviously, Rodriguez and Alley they know their offense and their defense, but I'm sure they're looking at players right now in the portal or who they expect are going to be in the portal and thinking about that. This just goes back to the organic point, Chris. Like to say they're going to do it, great. To actually do it is going to be far less easy said than done. It's going to be tricky to do this, especially if you're coming off like a 4 or 5 win season.
Let me ask you this. This is a question for me. Um, who are the top three guys so far performing for West Virginia through 4 games, 5 games, excuse me.
Transfers or overall?
Just overall. Like that's what I'm trying to get at. Like I don't want you to think about it now, but my point is I want to know who the top guys are, and then we can discuss where'd they come from. Were they returning players? Were they Neil Brown guys, if you will? Were they Jacksonville State guys? What were they?
All right. In no order here, just top of my head, like Coates for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Thought he played very well. And he comes from Nevada.
Yeah.
Um, I would put Cam Vaughn in that top group.
Yeah.
Um, Certainly could be more active, could be more involved, but when he gets chances, he's produced. I would do that. And then This is hard, Chris.
Yeah.
Because
I say
like I don't,
we might have had a couple options a couple weeks ago, but just the way the last 2 weeks is going has really kind of dampened that discussion.
yeah,
But
like I don't think Reed Carrico's been great, but he's been there. I don't think Edward Vizcarinen's been great, but he's been a regular on the defensive line. I don't. I mean, Grayson Barnes has had good moments, but also has had some less than moments. Rodney Gallagher has been impressive when he's gotten opportunities, but I wouldn't say that he's been prolific. That's a hard one to put number three. I mean, it's a hard one to put number two, to be honest.
well, here you go. Let me give you these are the guys that have, according to PFF, been above average, 65 or above with 200 snaps. Vaughn, Nico Marchio. There's the only two on offense.
Okay, I would definitely not say Nico Marchio.
Nope. Mike Coates, who you said, Vistaranen, who you mentioned, Chambers,
He's been good, really
yeah,
has.
and Perry. That's it as far as 200 plus snaps. I mean, there's some other guys that, like, again, that you've mentioned that were either didn't meet the snap total that I set there or just under 65. So,
Mm.
stuff I was trying to see, was there a common answer there, like of where they came from? No, because Coates was not Jacksonville State, not a returner. That was I don't want to say a highest bidder situation, but he kind of was a free agent market, just open to anybody and everyone anywhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't a connection necessarily that got that. And then, Vistaranen, if we're talking to him, he's a returner. Cam Vaughn, that's a Jacksonville State guy. Chambers, that's a Rod West guy.
Mm.
So, like, I don't know if there's a definitive. I was hoping there would be a definitive answer, is what I was trying to get at, but there's not, because there's four guys we're talking about, and they're coming from four different connections or ways.
Hey, what was the language in the question? Do you expect them to bring in higher quality players? Was that
Yeah,
the
it was like, was the problem money or just a late start? Because it was, the portal had already opened, and then he still had to put together a staff. Then he's distracted by putting together an entire staff, all that stuff. So I think essentially, if the money is the same next cycle, will they get better players because he's not distracted by putting together a staff, coming in late, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Or do they just need more money, period?
yeah, I mean, yeah, they're gonna need more money for sure.
Okay. I was going to say,
Um,
well, I'm glad you voiced that, because I was about to say, for our listeners, not viewers, Mike just made yeah, they need more money face,
yeah,
if you're curious.
they just do. It's if they bring this class in again, you're going to have the same conversations again. So they're going to have to aim higher and land higher for sure. They have players. I mean, again, a lot of it's because they just needed so many players, but they have players who just aren't fits and who aren't playing and who won't fit and who won't play, it seems. And again, that's going to come when you're adding so many people, but they just can't have that. They can't have misses or just empty calories, so to speak. But do you expect them to bring in higher quality players? I'm sure they do too, but you're right. Two-way street, gonna be tricky. But if they do spend more, that will help. Will they have more money? Sure, because again, bottom middle, lower third, whatever you want to call it, that's real. When you're working against 10 teams that are, 8, 10 teams that are higher than you and that are coming off better seasons and have had a better run in the past few seasons, they're aiming up. It gets to be very tricky.
Yeah. And I was just M. Kirchner 12 asked pretty similar question to that one. Is a lack of talent a sign that this is the best roster West Virginia can buy, or is it a combination of too many spots to fill and a late start on recruiting the portal class? So,
How late was the start though?
I mean, it was a few days in, as I say, it wasn't too late. It was a few days after the portal had opened.
I think people who sign right away out of the portal knew where they were going before.
Agreed.
Um, is Rodriguez, is West Virginia going to be a destination for those players on those first few days? I'm not sure. In fact, I'd say no. I just think the fact that you're going to have your assistant coaches ready to go, that's a boon for this. Like you're
Yeah.
going to have these people who know what they need, who they want. They're going to look at it and say, "I got this. That'll help." But are they going to be successful enough attracting, recruiting these players? Will they have a successful enough season to say, "Hey, do you see us? We won 5 out of our last 7 games, something like that, just to make people
Yeah.
go, oh, okay, okay, that makes sense now. A
Yeah.
lot left to answer that question for sure, but it's one you do want to ask and you do want to keep in mind.
Yeah. I say put it right here. Money's at the top. I do think, like you just said, coaches being in place and ready to recruit and use their
Yep.
connections, that will help. That will certainly help. I don't think starting 5 days late after the portal is going to make a big deal. Next question. WV Ball fan. Last week, you guys answered a question that essentially made you pick between our offensive line being the 5 best guys we have and the coaching staff not playing the best players due to not evaluating them properly. Um, you both were certainly leaning towards the former, correct? Yeah.
Mm. I mean, yeah, we're
I mean, I was gonna say I don't know if somebody asked that, but I think my answer was like, hey, it's either one of these two things. They're not purposefully playing the wrong guys. Like they're either these are the 5 best or they're misevaluating. Where do you stand now? I guess the point of the question is, do we change? Are we changing our opinion on the 5 best guys are on the field because of what we saw from Haslam, Iasosa, Lee, Agbo? Do those guys change our minds?
I don't think I would play Lee over a healthy Livingston.
Okay.
I've had no problem with Landon Livingston so far. Um, the right side of the line is it's been problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Just the numbers say that, the eyes say that too. And I was in favor of just giving somebody a chance if they had earned a chance, which is a big thing. Like the coaches aren't going to play somebody if they're not reliable in practice. If they're messing up in practice, if they're not if they're not taking the job from the person in front of them, they're not going to be given the job. And that probably hadn't happened. Did Haslam and or Agbo Isosa do that? We'll see for sure because McConney only played 17 snaps, so there was a long runway for someone to use there. And then I think they pulled Crawford at halftime, so you have a half more than that of game to use. I just don't think that they had their best 5 out there to start the game, and that's obviously without Livingston, but the other 4, I have a hard time believing based on the results and based on what we saw in the second half that that was the best alignment at the start of the game. So yeah, to expand on that, I would foresee changes for sure because you've done it, you've broken the seal, and you got something to build on right now.
All right. 3 more questions. This one from Luke Zoolander. It's a double, so
Mm.
I guess 4 more questions. First, you're the defensive coordinator. What are your 3 changes to try to improve performance, personnel coverages, etc.? Making any big changes on defense, Mike?
I mean, I guess the personnel would be one, too. Nick Taylor, if he's your free safety, you have maybe a little bit better coverage. He's a corner playing free. That might help you there. So that would be one for sure. I would I would try to get a little bit more speed in the second level, but I don't know how you do that. They seem like they're slow sometimes. They're kind of like clunky at linebacker or bandit. And Jamori Robinson he hasn't draped himself in glory the first 2 games, so he would be like the athletic, twitchy, fast guy that you'd put there. I don't know where you would, I don't know what you would do to add more speed, add more agility at linebacker, because that means you're taking Carrico and or Wilson off the field, and they've been solid enough. But would you put Bogle and Woods in there more and take the experience, the wherewithal hit? Don't know. And then I would probably just continue to bring the heat. That's just me. They've been at their best when they've just barnstormed offensive lines and backfields and just said, we'll figure it out behind it. They've got some people who can hold up in coverage. Coates plays a lot of man and does his job well. We mentioned Chambers. I think Scruggs has been good at times when he's been put in the spot. If you got something better at free safety, like the big side of the field, with Nick Taylor back there to cover more, Darian Lewis has been okay. Both those guys kind of feast or famine, which makes you worry a little bit if you're blitzing in front of them. I would just try to dictate a little bit because I saw an offense that spoon fed West Virginia's defense last game and it didn't work out for the Mountaineers. So I would try to dictate more.
Yeah, I'm not sure. how you can really stop some of the run stuff that's going on. I
Mm.
mean, you could tackle better, but I don't know, like, did you know 79 missed tackles in 5 games? By the way, that's
24 on Saturday.
yeah, it's bad situation there, and it's been happening a lot. I think we've been talking about some of the things where the linebackers in space for West Virginia, it has not gone well for the Mountaineers. Um, but with that run game, like yeah, they like you said, Utah kind of dictated it. The I don't know how I'd set things up. I don't know what the answer is really, but my thought is my strength is are my corners. I think like on the defense, Coates, Chambers, like you mentioned, if Taylor's going to be playing that free safety, maybe it's a little bit more press man coverage where you're just kind of putting them out on the island and just trying to get better numbers everywhere else to try to help you.
Mhm.
The problem with that is that we've seen a lot of the other guys on West Virginia's defense are incapable of defending the pass. So I don't know if you can put like linebackers and a couple of the safeties in one-on-one coverage because that just might get exploited again and again and again and again. So it's a tough spot for Zach Alley. I don't think I think I don't want to say that the good defensive start was the worst thing that could have happened to him, but it has
Mm.
set lofty expectations for a defense that was probably fine, and then it looked amazing for 3 weeks, and now all of a sudden it looks a little more pedestrian.
Yeah.
So, um, Luke Zoolander's second question, you kind of touched on it. Jamori Robinson, 28 plays, zero stats, nothing. Too soon to say bust slash overrated?
Too soon to say bust for sure, because I mean it's not a net zero for the whole season. He hasn't produced anything, so how could you not go a little bit overrated right now? Like the part of the allure, Chris, was he'd be instant impact, and that hasn't happened. So I don't think that's unfair.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is that? Like a math thing where you can't divide by zero? We can't. It's nothing, literally nothing right now. He has, according, just pulled up the PFF because I was like, how many snaps was it? 28. It was that was for one game. He's had 54 snaps between 2 games, zero tackle. He has more missed tackles than he does tackles. One missed tackle, zero tackles. So
One penalty.
one penalty. Yeah, that was. I think that's the first time I've actually seen somebody come all four limbs off the ground due to a face mask. That was,
That's good.
I mean, honestly, I was kind of impressed.
Hmm.
Um,
He started last game too. Like they've been okay at Bandit. You know, Jones and Sider are different players. Oxley's I think he benefit more from playing more, but he just hasn't had the time on the field to really grow and develop. But they're okay there, and they started Robinson. They also started Siders because they went double bandit and had Siders doing like a slash kind of a thing. Just got nothing out of that position though, and that's again that was a game where it'd be nice to have those guys to set edges, and just did not work out for him or the defense.
well, this one's just for you. M Burns 40. Where is the next naming rights project for the athletic department? What you got?
I'd probably say the actual playing surfaces. Um,
Oh, you think people didn't notice when you were like the currently unnamed court in Hope Gas Coliseum or Hope Coliseum?
I kind of thought they were gonna wait for time to heal the wounds and go for Bob Huggins. I don't think Bob Huggins is going to pay for the right. So somebody would pay to have their name on there for sure. You kind of already see it. I think it's WVU Medicine is on there. Am I wrong? I probably should look at the picture.
So you took the photo. You tell me.
Yeah, let me see. But yeah, but I think the actual playing surfaces at the football and basketball stadiums, I don't think that really matters so much for soccer. I mean, volleyball would be obviously football. Those aren't televised. Baseball, they're kind of already named the Ken Kendrick Family Ballpark. Could they put a name in the outfield? I guess, but I think playing services, and I'd be surprised if it wasn't football before basketball. I don't know where else you would go beyond that though.
What's the going rate for your name on a playing surface right now?
I think 2 million for the Coliseum is actually pretty good money. Like if you
Yeah.
do some comps, that's a sizable number there too. Would would you say if that's 2 million, and it is, I don't care. Um, would you take like 300,000 a year for the court? Because I mean, you may even that's on TV way more than they're going to
Mhm.
mention the Hope Coliseum, right?
Absolutely.
So I would think it's more money for that. So 300,000 isn't good at all. Like 500,000 starting, like, and then just maybe bid it up a little bit. That's a good number. I don't know, Chris. I would say. Now I'm thinking in my head, like, it's probably 750. By the end of this conversation, it's $1 million a year.
Well, and see, and then in my head, I'm sitting here going, yeah, that's only buying me like one player, two player, a couple good starters. Like, am I giving up a piece of my soul, putting a name on the floor, on the field for one player a year, two good players a year? I don't know. Stuff.
Yeah, WVU Medicine is on the Coliseum floor,
There you go.
but I don't think it's the WVU Medicine court. So diversified energy court at Hope Coliseum, probably not.
Sponsored by WVU Medicine. How long is this intro going to be?
Chris, they sold the tip.
Yeah.
I don't care. They sold the tip. That's they'll find a way to do it if they can.
I mean, this is absolutely going to be. It's going to be like. I mean, I know you're in the stadium, but for those that like listen on the radio, when you listen to radio for, I mean, you listen to baseball games. I'm sure like it is like this is the Haley Automotive Strike Zone here. Pitch one brought to you by Charlie's Restaurant. This is your 1-2 count brought to you by Texas Roadhouse. Like everything is sponsored.
Mm.
So prepare that. So I did you see it got approved for patches? Did I read that wrong?
I I think that's going to be like a reservation for some sponsors. I'd much rather be on a player's uniform in the court or the
Yeah.
field.
Oh boy. I can't wait for that to happen.
Ear Sports helmet
Yeah.
sticker.
Better believe it.
Yeah.
Um, dude, that little musket, I mean, excuse me, is not affiliated in any way with the WVU Mountaineer, but our logo with the musket man and ear sports have that as a helmet sticker instead of a Buckeye like Ohio State.
Mm.
That'd be sweet. Um, all right, last question. I don't even know where to put this number here, but Crawdaddy 26554. In your opinion, what is the combined NIL revenue sharing dollar figure WVU will need to be at to compete in the Big 12 next season? Mike, I mean, it's all questions about money. That's just where we are. But what do we talk? I mean, rev share is rev share for like
So
if it,
competitive, like in the championship game or like playing Saturday, the final Saturday of the season to be in contention for it. Like, are we talking that high?
yeah, let's go that high.
All right. Your revenue sharing is going to be about 16 million, rounding up. I would say they probably need NIL reasonably, right? Like I'm not, yeah, 50 million, right? No, that's not reasonable. 25 million.
Ooh, okay.
Because like that's like 8 to 9 million in NIL, which
Oh,
is what we
okay.
need
Okay.
now.
There you go. I was like, ooh, I
Yeah.
thought you meant 25 million more in NIL
Not
on
not
top of the
reasonable, not
60. I was
reasonable.
like,
It's
oh,
yeah.
40 million bucks you're
No, well,
going
yeah.
for?
I would
This
think that
this
again,
ain't Texas Tech, bud.
yeah, the revenue sharing is going to be about that percentage of it's going to be close to like over 21 million next year. Um, and they get whatever percentage that's about 16 million rounded up. Yeah, and I would think that between like 9 million, I would say between 8 and 10, so let's just say 9
Okay.
gives you 25 million.
All right. We're in the same boat because I was thinking whatever you get, because whatever it's going to be, right? You just mentioned that the revenue sharing is going to go up, the total amount allowed, and then whatever's the split is for football. So it'll go up a little bit. And I was thinking, I went a little higher than you because I was thinking close to 30 total. Because in my
That's fine.
mind, I was like, yeah, revenue share is going up. So the rev share part will be like 18 in the future, next year, 2 years, whatever. And then I was thinking 10 to 12 for the NIL part of it to get up to 30. So
Could be right. Like if this BOG resolution comes in, sure, do it. The problem with that is that they're not supposed to meet and I don't know, codify that, whatever, until February. A little too late at that point. So I think it'd be too I mean, but if you're gonna do it, go big for sure. You might be right. Nothing wrong with that. I think people would much rather you be right than me be right on
I,
this.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, except for the people that are actually funding it, they probably don't. The people that are actually paying the money for that don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Mike, I think that's all the questions we're going to answer for this podcast. We'll get this up Monday morning. Shortened week. Are you adjusting your schedule at all? Or I think we agree we're going normal schedule,
Yes.
but just a little bit more reading on Friday since the game doesn't start until 10:30.
Big nap on Friday,
Good God.
possibly during the game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We'll see.
Uh, and yeah, we'll have 3 minute videos with a couple more questions, and then I will answer the rest of them in written format on Wednesday morning. So,
Until next time, I'm Mike Casaza.
and I'm Chris Anderson.
We will talk to you then.